But just recently, I've been hit by a massive curveball. I'm likely to be made redundant. So, Eric and I were always thinking to retire in about 18 months' time. We're both in our sort of mid-50s now, almost. But just recently, I've been hit by a massive curveball. I'm likely to be made redundant. There are lots of job losses on quite a large employer here on the Wirral. And, those job losses are likely to be in IT, which is a profession I've worked in for the last 30 years. My concern is I'm 54. I'm 55 next year. I don't know what to do. So, I always expected to work till I was at least sort of 57, hopefully with this, the employer I'm with now. That was always the plan, working on, building up my pension, working in a job that I actually enjoy as well. But as I say, this has come as a big curveball today. And I'm like, I'm 54, I'm redundant. Can I retire? But, what is the job market like at 54? I don't know. How do you find a job at 54? I've worked in IT all my life. Do I want to work in IT again? I've enjoyed IT. I've had a really varied career doing lots of different things. But then I'm thinking, 54, do I want a job with a little bit more purpose? Do I think about a job maybe in the health sector or in the caring sector? I think when you're younger and your family's younger, you've got a purpose. You're looking after your children, you're bringing them up. You're looking after your house, your family, and you're working. So do I think about working again, maybe in IT or administration or something in a smaller organisation? Because right now I'm in a big organisation. I've always worked in big organisations. I'm very kind of a small cog in a big machine. What you do has purpose, but it kind of gets lost because of that big organisation you work in. Do I think about another passion of mine, dog walking? I've got my dog here, Pink. Do I think about maybe working a few days a week walking other people's dogs or looking after other people's dogs while they go out to work? I don't know. My son finished uni this year. We're getting him in the job market. My daughter finishes in 18 months. Sorry, 12 months, isn't it? 12 months.
I'd say 9, actually.
Well, yeah, probably right, actually. And the idea was, that they were out of university and the money that we need to spend putting them through university, we were going to top up our pensions. We were going to put all into the pension and invest so that in 18 months to 2 years' time, we would have been in a really good position for us both to retire. But now our plans are all up in the air. I'm not going to be able to contribute to a pension if I don't get another job. Eric, what you contribute to your pension now will have to stop, because if I'm not working, we're going to need your money to live on. And so that means, we may not be able to spend 2025, 2026 building up our pensions.
No, exactly. What I really liked about the plans we had up until this date was the fact that we could have had a year's practicing. So our daughter finished university in 9 months' time, and then we've got a year of practicing working with our retirement budget. Because when anyone retires, you panic, don't you? You do the numbers and you think, that sounds like we can live with that, but it's a lot less than our joint salary is when we're working. But what it would have given us a chance to do is say, right, we're going to retire. We're going to continue working, but live on our retirement budget for a whole year. That would have given us so much more confidence that the numbers we'd set ourselves in our retirement budget would have been perfect. And you know what? If we'd misbudgeted, we could have worked a little bit longer, and until we got to that point. But now that's this is just couldn't be worse timing for us, I don't think.
Yeah. And we've talked already about the financial aspect and what does that mean. But for me, and for you, Eric, our plan was always to retire together.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, we were going to retire, within probably our birthdays are a month apart from each other. and we were going to retire together. And the plan was that we would go walking, we would travel around the UK with the dog, and really take our time traveling around. And now I'm thinking, well, what do I do? I mean, we've got different hobbies, we've got different activities, but for the majority of the time, we were going to spend the time together, doing what we enjoy, walking, being with the dog, visiting beautiful places around the UK. But now I'm like, well, okay, what do I do while you're working full time?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. And actually, it might be an even longer period, because we're not topping up the pension now for that period. Once our daughter finishes university, it could be 2 or 3 years now before we recapture where we were in terms of our savings. And actually, we think about it, during our 30s, we sacrificed quite a lot, didn't we? I was working away a lot. I was working abroad. I was working down south. You were here with the very young kids on your own. And when we talked about it, it was, it's worth putting this sacrifice in now, because we're going to try. Well, at the time we were saying in our early 50s, weren't we? Which is now for me 3 years behind. But, at least our mid-50s, we thought we'd retire. And that's why we made them sacrifices early on, in terms of, me working away, us not being together all the time. So we do feel that this is coming at a difficult time for us. But what's the job market like? I do see when we're employing now people in the place that I work, we don't get a lot of people coming through into the workforce in the mid-50s. I do see lots of applications coming into the organisation, but I don't see that many being converted into jobs.
Yeah.
I wonder what your thoughts are. Are we right to worry about getting a job in IT at 55? Or are we worried about getting a job at all at 55? As Tracy said, dog walking could be an option for us. I
was just about to add as well, Eric talked about when we were in our 30s and he worked away. He did work away a lot, but I worked part-time for around 20 years. So my pension contributions have really suffered because of that.
Yeah.
So I haven't built up a lot of pension for almost like the first 20 years of my career, because I was working 2.5 days a week. So that's taken quite a hit.
It has, yeah.
So the plan was always to sell the house and release some equity and buy somewhere smaller. And now we're thinking, okay, well, do we sell the house earlier and buy something small now, so we release some of the money? Because we've always wanted to travel east to Malaysia and Singapore, China. And then so if we do buy somewhere small, we've got somewhere that we can call a base, our children can live in, because, it's going to take a long time for them to get on the property ladder the way things are these days. And then when we've finished our travels, look at buying our final home when we're back.
Yeah.
The interest could add up to about £10,000 a year to top of our pensions.
Well, whilst we're away.
Yeah, whilst we're away. Yeah. For a year or two. So...
And we've watched lots of kind of YouTube videos about traveling in Asia, and how you can do that on a really smallish budget, actually. And we're quite confident, actually, we could move around Asia. We're not talking about moving week on week. We're talking about doing a month or two in one country, in one location, moving on a month or two in another location. And if you do it like that, then, you can really keep the costs down.
Yeah.
And we were even talking about repositioning crews to get there, weren't we?
Yeah. So rather than expensive flights or expensive cruising, these repositioning cruises seem to be quite a good option.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know what one of them is, so rather than getting, your normal cruise where you stop every 2 or 3 days in some exotic location, this is where the cruise company have maybe 50 ships in the northern hemisphere, and they want to move them all to follow the sun and move them all to the southern hemisphere. And they basically, you get on board and they ship you, maybe 13 days without stopping, 13 days at a time without stopping. It's really cheap. you're still treated really well, lots of food, lots of entertainment on board, but it's not the same as taking a normal cruise. The big difference is it's about 20% of the cost, and it's actually usually a lot cheaper than flying as well. So we know we've got options. There's a lot of people who are much less fortunate than us out there. It's natural when something hits you like this to be concerned. I know from having this channel for a while now that I've had some absolutely incredible advice from people. So just any thoughts you've got on our predicaments would be really, really welcome.
Yeah, be appreciated. And if you've been through the same thing as well, we'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your experiences, good, bad, and ugly. To prepare ourselves.
Yeah, warts and all. Anyway, it'd be appreciated if you give us a thumbs up anyway on the video. And if you're not subscribed yet, it'd be great if you could subscribe and catch up with where we get to in the next few weeks and months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.